So it's the first time, hopefully nothing goes cuckoo here with this, but first time I'm using my new PNY um, card, basically meant for 4K recording and stuff, but and everything. US, it's a UHS or UHS-1, something like that. So hopefully it'll work. Um, but anyway, I wanted to come on here because just giving you my thoughts on what's going on with Trump and everything, and this whole indictment. And look, I know some people don't like Trump. That is obvious. The Democrats, some Republicans, Independents, all of them don't like the guy. That is obvious without a shadow of a doubt. Very obvious. So we can't deny that whatsoever. Okay, we cannot deny that. But the point is, you have a situation here as I adjust the camera. You have a situation here right now to where do these people have any idea, what they're getting themselves into with Trump? Do they have any idea of what, you know, they're basically putting themselves into pretty much, I guess, probably having backfire on their face. Now, I'm not saying that, there isn't any truth to the matter. I'm not saying that. What I am saying though is they have to be more careful. They have to be more studious about what they're doing, you know. And it's like, sooner or later, the truth, as the old saying goes, will set you free. And if truth comes out that there is something more going on than, basically, if there's something more going on than what's being let on, being, reported and documented, it's going to come out. And it's not going to look good for the Democrats, or it's not going to look good for the Republicans or independents or grassroots people, grass party people, Green Party, if you will, that are trying to get Trump out of a position of potentially becoming president again. And obviously, we're kind of seeing that progress as we speak, because depending on what you believe, his approval rating, his support in the polls among all other GOP nominees and presidential candidates for the Republic nomination, his approval rating in the polls has gone, straight up, has rocketed, if you will. It has rocketed straight up. And that's obviously something that, none of the Republicans going up against him or even the Democrats, they want to see. So again, with this whole situation happening, they have to be careful about, what they do about, the prosecution and everything that they're putting against him, because, the more they put, the more they try to push this agenda of he did do something and everything, the more it's going to help him be approved. Now, obviously, they're very hopeful that the one thing that will occur is he'll be found guilty, convicted, and put into jail. But here's the problem: he's Donald Trump. He has money, so he could basically get himself out of jail without an issue. No matter what the bail is, unless, of course, the courts decide you're going to be jailed, for so many years without bail, then that's a different story. But, be that as it may, I think what this really is in the long run, it's just, and I don't know if anybody else has pointed this out, but in my opinion, what this really is in the long run is it's just a lot of political parties, some members of the Republicans, a majority, if not some members of Democrat, and, some members of the independent and Green parties. What this really is for them, is just their way of sending a message. And that message is that if you're going to be president, then you have to act like a president. You don't act like a president that goes off and does their own thing. You act like a president that's always been known to go, basically say they want to do something, but then they have to go to Congress and then the House to get it passed, to make it a reality. Basically, long story short, they want to send a message that, hey, Trump, if you're going to be our president again, you listen to us. We don't listen to you. kind of deal. And that's why they're hoping for for someone like Biden to retain his position. That's why they're hoping for any other Democratic nominee like Kennedy, if you will, the son of Robert Kennedy, to win. So that way they have somebody that they feel will act more as a traditional president. You know, from the point of view. That's mainly what this really is at the end of the day. Documents and everything and accusations and all that be darned, if you will. But but again, but not but again, but like I said, accusations, indictments and all that be darned. It's just another political play on their part. That's what it is. Just another political play to basically show the world who really runs the country. It's not the president. It's Congress. It's Congress. It's the House. And certain members that have a majority in that House right now that want to ensure they don't have a president like Trump, running things or sitting in the office. You know, they will they will do whatever it takes to prevent that. Because let's be honest, Trump is not a very traditional president. He will say what he wants, and not be afraid. He will stand up for what he believes in, and not take BS from anybody. But again, when you really get down to it, when you really get down to it, folks, this whole indictment situation and accusation and all that, you know, again, whether they succeed or they don't, or they kind of have, or they end up finding a middle ground, it's going to blow up in their face. It is. It's going to blow up in their face, and it's already doing so, like I mentioned. You got the approval rating polls going up for him more so than before. It's blowing up in their face, folks, and they know it. They know it, and that if I'm Congress, if I'm the Senate, if I'm the Democrats in Congress, if I'm the Democrats in the House, if I'm some of the Republicans and members of the independent parties and Green parties, and everything, I have to be worried. Because even though I'm trying my best to prevent this guy from becoming president again, because that's my fear, I also have to realize that maybe my plan is backfiring in front of me. It's blowing up in my face because of the fact that now, all of a sudden, this guy's, chances of being the Republican nominee in the presidential race for 2024, have become even greater than they've ever had. All because of the fact that we're trying to, do what we feel is the justifiable thing and get this guy behind bars, or at least get him to admit that he did wrong. And it's like, to me, they need to, it's like to me, I think they need to realize that what's going on is going to really just hurt them in the long run, and it's not going to be pretty. And that's a fact. It's going to hurt them in the long run. It's not going to be pretty. But yeah, to me right now, I think honestly, and there are in various news outlets, Newsweek, Newsmax, Fox News, and even, believe it or not, those at CNN, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, ABC, there are those, C-SPAN, if you will, there are those, believe it or not, that actually will agree with what I'm saying and others are saying when it comes to this. That what this is really doing is backfiring in their faces. Because even if, like I said, even if what they say, or even what they're accusing him is to be, turns out to be true, what are they going to do? How are they going to prevent him from getting out of jail? Unless, like I said, the judge puts a no bail, puts a without bail stipulation next to his sentence. Trump's just going to use his money, to get out. He's going to use his money to get out. Now, apparently the judge that's appointed by him is, everybody's looking at her and being like, oh, she's going to be in favor of him. But we'll have to see. If she is in favor of him, then yeah, that might hurt them in the long run because it'll, add more fuel to the fire and saying, see, he has to be guilty. He has to be hiding something because she's ignoring all the facts. So we'll see what happens because I think what's going to occur, honestly, is they're going to talk to this Trump appointed judge and they're going to tell her, look, we know you favor Trump. We know you are behind him. We know you're in his pocket. We know you're in his camp. But if you want to keep your job as a judge, here in this great country, you need to be unbiased. You need to show equality. You need to look at all the evidence that's in front of you and and work from there and make your decision based off that. So so honestly, both sides have to be careful about what they do, of how they bring their evidence to the table of of Trump not doing what he's being accused of, and of course on the other side the evidence of showing that he is guilty of what they say he's done. So right now though, like I said, right now it's backfiring in their faces, and all I could say is if they don't want it to keep it backfiring in their faces, that they have to come up with a different strategy. They have to come up with a way to basically be like, okay, we know he's guilty, we believe he's guilty. How can we do this without it making us look like fools? And how can we do it where it's going to downgrade his popularity in the polls instead of upgrading it? That's what they got to do. Because right now right now they keep this up and everything in this for the rest of this year going into next year. It's not going to look good for them. It's not. And on top of that, the more Biden ignores any questions about what he and his son did, it's just going to prove more evidential than ever that there's something going on politically that's not right and unjust and very un-American. you know that's what's going to happen. And there is evidence. There is evidence, video evidence out there that kind of would go against the Democratic Party, go against Biden and everything, and maybe be used as a catalyst to say, hey, here's what Biden said back in November of 2022 about preventing Trump from running. Maybe there's something there that, we're not being told, and that might lead to something down the line. So we'll have to see. But right now, all I can say is that in the end, this is going to be an interesting 2024 presidential race. There's no doubt. And if they don't get their act together and try to figure out a more strategic, more sensible, non-humiliating way to prove what they believe Trump did to be right and everything, try to get him out of the potential chance of being president again, then they really have to straighten their minds out and come up with a different strategy, because right now it's not looking good for them. And if that video evidence comes out that, hey, Biden said this, maybe there's something to it and everything, especially with this Trump thing happening right now, that's going to hurt them too. But let me know what your thoughts are down below, guys. Comment if you like. Love to hear from each and every one of you. Superchats will be open during the live chat. I'll put that in the description. And until then, guys, I will talk to y'all later. God bless. Take care.